Welcome back to Network Africa, reaching you live from Lagos. The Mo Ibrahim Foundation has announced for the second year in a row that there is no suitable winner for its Africa Annual Leadership Excellence Awards, as none of the former African heads of state and government met the criteria. The announcement was made on Thursday that no former African leader met the requirements for the 2015 version of the yearly award, following a meeting of the Independent Prize Committee chaired by former Tanzania Prime Minister Salim Ahmed Salim. Set up by Sudanese British tycoon Mo Ibrahim in 2006, the Ibrahim Prize is given based on the review of the special committee that includes former diplomats, Nobel laureates, business leaders and democracy activists. The criteria used by the committee to select a winner include the requirement that all eligible contenders be former heads of state or government who left office in the previous 3 years. The leaders should have been democratically elected, served their constitutionally allowed terms, and demonstrated exceptional leadership. Well, joining us on phone is political scientist from the University of Lagos, Dr. Godwin Okeke. Dr. Okeke, thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Now, does it come to you as a surprise that the award has been unawarded for the second year in a row?
Come again, sorry, I didn't hear you very well.
Does it come to you as a surprise that no African leader has qualified for this award for the second year in a row?
No, I'm not surprised at all, because if you look at the indices for and the criteria for choosing winners of the award, it's very, very clear. And I'm very proud of Mo Ibrahim that the standard has been maintained over the years. I think the last president that won the award was that of Botswana. The last president of Botswana. I think that time, if you look at the index of governance in Africa, no African leader has been able to meet up those standards. We can see, the gap between the government and the governed, the human rights records, corruption, and several indices of underdevelopment in the whole of Africa. So if you look at that, and you look at even the issue of peer review mechanism of the African Union, one of them is virtually not working. So on which criteria or criterion can you now base to select the winner of the Mo Ibrahim Award? So I'm not surprised.
Well, Mo Ibrahim actually widened the scope of excellent leadership, now not just being an African phenomenon, but a global one. What do you think about that statement?
Oh, it's because of the fact that we don't have qualified people in Africa. That's why it has gone a step further to widen the scope. And, I think it should be an indictment on the African leaders and even African, Africans generally, that within ourselves we cannot produce, stars who can present to the world as the people who are qualified to win this award. Now, the team is going beyond Africa.
So what's the way forward?
Well, the African leaders will have to be serious about the African peer review mechanism, and then the Africans themselves. I think it's time we definitely sit down and ask ourselves a lot of questions, do some sort of soul searching, and be able to caution ourselves that, the whole world will be laughing at us if we cannot on ourselves manage our own affairs. If you look at the issue of African solution for African problems, that has not been working, because at the end of the day, we find foreign and external influences coming to solve our own problems for us. Look at the issue of the Libyan crisis. The African Union virtually was non-existent. The Ivorian crisis, it was France that came to smoke out Gbagbo from the government house. When we have a conflict resolution mechanism, you can cite several instances. Look at the issue of what is happening in Burundi and Rwanda. Paul Kagame, with all his he's trying to extend his tenure. Democratic reversal in the whole of the African continent. And, it's very, very, shameful. Our leaders, we have sit-tight leaders, all of them are still in power.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Okeke, for speaking to us on the program. Well, 7 Kenyan members of parliament, 1 senator and a student are in court in the capital, Nairobi, over allegations of incitement to violence. We understand that supporters are singing outside the court compound, calling for the release of the parliamentarians. This stems back to comments that one member of parliament, Moses Kuria, allegedly made last weekend, saying that opposition leader Raila Odinga should be killed. Mr. Kuria has denied this, and he is in court along with 2 other government MPs. Well, 4 opposition parliamentarians responded, saying they would organize protection for their leader themselves. Well, joining us now on the program is Mr. Kimosop. Mr. Kimosop, thank you for joining us on the program.
You're welcome. How are you?
Now, are demonstrations still ongoing outside of the courthouse?
No, there are no demonstrations outside the court. And this is because of the ruling that was given this just a few minutes ago, allowing the accused persons from both sides of the political divide to be out on bail and on bond. So that has reduced the tension. But as you remember, these are political leaders, and of course, you know, politicians will seek to mobilize their supporters and to be seen to be with the people. So either paid or even hired crowds, that is another debate.
All right, so can you tell us the nature of the statements which the MPs are actually accused of making, which they say incited violence?
As you remember, in Africa, Kenya is not an exception, that mobilization, political mobilization is done on ethnic lines. And therefore, we have an election that is coming up in 2017, and you can already see the lines and the ethnic mobilization. And the challenge, therefore, with that is when they go overboard, like the statements by Moses Kuria, the statements from Mudhama, who is the senator, as you mentioned. As you can see, they're very divisive, and that impacts on nationhood. Our former CJ, that is the Chief Justice, who's just exited office yesterday. One time when he got into power, said one of the biggest threats to our nationhood has been oversupply of the vernacular political and vernacular Kenyan and shortages of nationalists. So that is the challenge that we have, and those are the consequences. And institutions have to check this so that we can forge ahead as one country, moving together in the right direction.
And if they are found guilty of these accusations, what consequences would they be looking at?
As I am talking to you, the National Commission on Integration, National Cohesion and Integration Commission is already making proposals that some of them should be barred from occupying office. We have a very progressive constitution. Article 72, or specifically Chapter 6 of the Constitution on Leadership and Integrity. It talks about leaders holding offices in public trust, leaders conducting themselves in public and in private in manner that brings honor and dignity to these offices. So as you can see, one of the challenges is the operationalization of these provisions, and this could be a beginning where we will start seeing people being held into account by not giving them the highest prize, and that is not occupying political offices. That's one of the provisions. And as you also, they are criminal, it's criminals, hate speech is criminal, but also charging and proving this has become a challenge.
All right, thank you, Vincent, for speaking to us on the program. Thank you. Well, coming up in a moment, we'll bring you our Africa Tech segment. Please stay with us.